Now right here, I mentioned Stephen Weinberg as having said that. So I'm going to put Stephen Weinberg right here. He's a decent man. He really is. I deeply respect Stephen Weinberg. But over here, I'm going to put John Polkinghorne. Also, someone that everybody in the scientific community will recognize as a decent, thoughtful man who's contributed so much to our scientific understanding of the world. Both of these men have. The conversations that go on here are quite different than the conversations that could go on here with people in this quadrant or here in this quadrant. People up here have much more in common with each other and much more of a responsibility to each other. And I really want to ask for more thoughtful conversations to go on. I really want the people in these quadrants up here to think about lowering this line, as I said, so that it's off the map of human experience. No decent, religious, thoughtful person whose ideas are qualitatively different than people in this quadrant wants to see any of these things happening. And it's an artificial division when we're saying religion poisons everything. It's as artificial as if I, a theist, would say politics poisons everything. I know that the decent, thoughtful people in this quadrant are not holding hands with the monsters in this quadrant. And I know that the victims down here, which actually include all of us, need the cooperation of the human decency up here, of people driven by human decency to rescue them. Just like I put Hitler down here, I will put the confessing church up here. I'm just going to respond directly to this one moment in history. While Hitler was busy with his megalomania, destroying the world and destroying the sacredness of life, the confessing church with Martin Niemöller and Dietrich Bonhoeffer were up here working on behalf of the victims down here. Stephen Weinberg, who I think as a reasonable person and a kind person, a thoughtful person, a person who has contributed so much to our understanding of our place in the physical universe, should not be making blanket statements that, it takes religion to make a good person do bad things, because it's thoughtless. And a thoughtless idea is unworthy of somebody who is as gifted as Stephen Weinberg. And I suspect Christopher Hitchens knows better than this as well. I suspect Christopher Hitchens, who says that he likes reading Tolstoy, knows better. Tolstoy, who is somebody I deeply admire over here, Tolstoy, who says, what is it men live by? If you're reading Tolstoy, Christopher Hitchens, you're basically reading theistic thoughts. So many of the people that you mentioned that you admire, their thinking is fueled in large part by the religious geniuses of the past, those thoughtful people who really understand their spirituality and their place in the human community. Stephen Weinberg has said, he doesn't like God, and he's referring to the Old Testament. One of the things that I find ironic is that the very protests that you are making, Stephen, are the same protests that the prophet Jeremiah is making against, images of God that are unworthy, that somehow get incorporated into Scripture sometimes. But you find protest against animal sacrifice. You find protest against injustice. You find protest against stupid thinking, even in the real prophetic voices that come shining through in the Scriptures, like Jeremiah's or Isaiah's, where the call is for justice and for recognition of the worth of every other human being, and where the call is for enlightenment, where the call is for knowledge, where the call is for walking in the truth. So I ask you to think about the qualitative differences that are inherent in religion. The religion of John Polkinghorne is markedly different than the religion of a Jim Jones or a mubbler calling for beheadings, and I expect that people as gifted as you are, Stephen Weinberg, or even as gifted as you are, Christopher Hitchens, to be honest about that and to say that these conversations here are quite different than these conversations here. So come back and join me on the blog. Thanks so much for listening today.